Did have, as you said, a fantastic mission, presidential mission to the Philippines. It was actually the first U.S. presidential mission to the Philippines. So it was quite a historic mission that we had, that I had the honor of leading. And we brought with us 22 U.S. companies and organizations. Their work spanned everything from technology to clean energy, renewable energy, digital informations technology, logistics and transportation. I see a few of you here this evening. It was quite the group that we brought. We announced more than $1 billion of investment, and to a person, everyone on the visit with me said they want to do more in the Philippines. To a person. And, you know, once again, it's no exaggeration to say that the mission was so successful because of the deep and active involvement of President Marcos and his team. Your team was incredible, giving us the access that we needed and enabling us to not just have a great lunch and great meal, but excellent working sessions that I know will bear fruit. In fact, it's only been a month since we met in Manila, but we're already, so you don't have to take my word for it, the facts prove out my excitement. 1 week after we left Manila, UPS, big American company, announced a deal, huge deal, with the Luzon Airport Development Corporation to significantly expand its already sizable operations in Clark Airport. That's the first of what I predict will be a steady stream of announcements coming out of that visit. And I think that I've teased the participants that UPS went first, so who's next? But I do expect that there will be a steady stream. I also want to say, and this was mentioned before, I'm grateful to President Marcos and his team's work to promote a free, talking about this. The Indo-Pacific is a critical part of the world, some of the most dynamic and fastest growing economies in the world, 40% of the world's GDP, and yet it's a challenging neighborhood. You live in a tough zip code for openness and freedom. All the more reason that we support you and that we strengthen the U.S.-Philippines relationship. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to be at the historic trilateral meeting between President Biden, President Marcos, and Prime Minister Kishida. They came together for the first ever U.S.-Philippines-Japan trilateral summit. And it was, I think the President would agree, and my counterpart, Secretary Pascal, would agree, it was a very successful meeting. Because President Biden was crystal clear. We support the Philippines, we support Japan, we are going to be good on our commitments to security and safety in that region, and we look forward to further engaging in the economies of the region, strengthening our supply chains, strengthening our critical minerals partnership, strengthening our relationships as it relates to semiconductors and training and a resilient supply chain. The more we work together, the stronger we are and the less vulnerable we are, all of us, to economic coercion of another party. So, to that end, I'm very much looking forward to the Investor Conference in June of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. It'll be an opportunity for the Philippines to show off all your great projects and for me to help you get investment in those projects, which I'm ready to do. And of course, as was said, we're absolutely thrilled that President Marcos agreed for the Philippines to co-host the Indo-Pacific Business Forum in Manila in May. That's going to be a very significant event. In fact, that forum will be one of the U.S. government's premier public-private events to promote trade and investment between the U.S. and our Indo-Pacific partners. So the winds at our back. The wind is at our back. Our intentions and our interests are aligned, and now it's time to execute. It's follow-up and execution. And on behalf of the United States, I can tell you we will absolutely do our part. And I have no doubt that under your leadership, Mr. President, the Philippines will do more than your part. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a fantastic host. Mabuhay.
My great honor and privilege to introduce His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thanks, first of all, to Babe for your very kind introduction. I said it earlier today, is proof of how good a diplomat Babe Romualdez is, that he said how happy he was to be for us to be visiting. But I suspect the truth of the matter is he can't wait to see the back of us. and so watch that plane fly away. But whatever he went through, it has certainly been worth it. It has been a remarkable 2 days. I'd like to greet, of course, our friend, U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimundo, who, as the other previous speakers have mentioned, led a very important delegation. First, because of the nature of it, it was the first ever presidential delegation organized by President Biden and his offices, and which was a remarkable event for us. And even more importantly was how much work got done. And I have to commend you, Madam Secretary, because the delegation that you organized was very much on point. The people that came were in the sectors of the economy that we prioritized. And I think that's why we were able to prepare very well, because we were already having these deep discussions on those certain areas. So, and that's why why I think, as you were saying, that a good deal of work was done, and I'm happy that it was so successful, and we await the continuing stream, as you describe it, to the Philippines. The U.S. Secretary of the Navy, Secretary Carlos Del Toro, the co-chairs of the U.S.-Philippine Society, well, of course, our good ambassador, Ambassador John Negroponte, and now our newly minted co-chair, Jaime Augusto Sobel. We have here also the Speaker of the House, Speaker Martin Romualdez. There are members of my cabinet that I have come with me. I'd like to make, of course, a special greeting to the former ambassadors to the Philippines. Well, we are awaiting your return for our private visit. Every time an ambassador leaves us, they promise and they say, well, when we have time, I'd like to come back here for a holiday without work. We're still waiting, but we're ready. We're ready for it. I think Senator Francis Tolentino, there you are, is also with us, and certainly our partners from the private sector, the distinguished guests who have joined us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'd like to first thank the U.S.-Philippine Society, who has worked very hard over the past few weeks to organize tonight's event. The U.S.-Philippine Society has been a close partner of the Philippine government, particularly through its close relationship with our embassy here in Washington, D.C., and a staunch supporter of promoting Philippine-American bilateral relations. but especially to promote economic cooperation and business collaborations, as well as people-to-people exchanges. I am particularly pleased to see among the guests here tonight a good number of Filipino and American business leaders, as well as other prominent personalities in their respective fields, as I hope the connections that are made and renewed tonight will lead to even more engagements in the future. Let me also thank our ambassador to the United States, Ambassador Babe, for his thoughtful introduction and also for the embassy's tireless efforts to prepare for this visit. I know how much work we give you, but I can say without fear of contradiction, it was all very much well worth it. So for this visit, this is a follow-up to the last visit that I came to the United States, which was a bit about 11 plus months ago. And for you following the developments in our relations with the United States, this visit is not at all surprising. During Secretary Blinken's visit to Manila last month, the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Ricky Manalo, aptly described our relations as being on hyperdrive for quite some time. Increased business sector linkages and people-to-people exchanges have matched the accelerated pace of our engagement across all levels of government and of society. From defense and security, to trade and investment, and further still to food security, energy security, our transition, infrastructure development, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, and that is not the complete list. And this just demonstrates the nature of the relationship with